And a very pleasant good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another edition of Tornado Talk, where we talk all things Brevard College Tornado Athletics. Have another exciting show on tap for you this evening. But before we get to it, do want to thank our sponsors of Brevard College Tornado Athletics. Appreciate their ongoing support. Arby's, BSN Sports, eGolf Ford of Brevard, Hampton Inn, Ingles, Jets Pizza, Pardee Sports Medicine, Pepsi, Sully Steamers, Triangle Stop, and Young Transportation. Appreciate their support. And also want to recognize Pardee Sports Medicine, Southeastern Sports Medicine Orthopedics for being the official healthcare provider for Brevard College Tornado Athletics, in addition to the outstanding quality of care provided by the orthopedic doctors. Pardee also offers care in the areas of oncology, cardiovascular, primary care, and several subspecialties. Pardee Sports Medicine, proud partners with Brevard College Tornado Athletics. Well, a lot to catch you up on, and we'll start with the BESPYs Awards, which were this past Thursday night. What a celebration of all things Brevard College Tornado Athletics. Several award winners. We're going to let you know those now before we get to our first guest. First, the Ann Edders Award went to Emily Denega of women's lacrosse. That's a major award here at Brevard College. Congratulations to Emily. John McKissick Award, top football senior on and off the field, goes to Mitchell Yoder. Congratulations to Mitchell. The Chuck Dunbar Award for Spirit, Scott Douglas. Outstanding work there, and we'll talk to Scott later in the program along with student broadcaster Brady Penn. The two of them, by the way, were MCs for the event. Cyclist of the Year goes to the individual national champion in the individual Omnium and mountain bikes, Cole Punchard. Congratulations, Cole. Female Rookie of the Year, women's basketball, Olivia Miller. Male Rookie of the Year went to Connor Crosby, the exciting pitcher on the Tornadoes staff. Female Perfect Storm, on and off the court, Brooke Garland of women's tennis. And the Male Perfect Storm Award goes to Jock Pledger from both football and baseball. Also, a dual athlete wins the Female Athlete of the Year. That's McKenna Parkins, women's basketball and volleyball. And the Male Athlete of the Year, on a night where his team was able to be honored with a ring ceremony for the USA South Conference men's soccer championship, Ryan Lynch wins Male Athlete of the Year. The David and Lynn Joyce Legacy Award goes to Jock Pledger, football and baseball. Team GPA Award, congratulations to the women's soccer team for the highest GPA across all the Tornado sports. In the Tornado Cup, which is a variety of competitions both on and off the field, and it all adds up to the Tornado Cup winner, once again, the women's lacrosse team. So congrats to all those winners and everybody who took part in those BESPYs Award. Really a fun event this past Thursday night. Well, a lot going on here once again at Brevard College. We're in the home stretch of USA South Conference play. Women's tennis will host the USA South Conference tournament first round. That's tomorrow, 2:30 p.m. at the McCoy Tennis Complex. Hope you can join us for that. We'll have it for you on the YouTube channel if you're not able to come out live. But outstanding opportunity as the team will face Pfeiffer in round one of the USA South Conference tournament. Softball is on the road this week. Games at Greensboro in Pfeiffer before returning home for the home finale versus Methodist. That's Sunday, 1 and 3 p.m., the doubleheader at the BC softball field. Baseball, they'll be on the road 6 p.m. tomorrow. That's Tuesday night in Greenville, South Carolina, to take on Bob Jones. Baseball will then play Greensboro Saturday and Sunday at Gil Cone Field, a 3-game series to continue to round out conference play. Women's lacrosse, regular season finale at Methodist on Saturday. That's a big one for the standings in women's lacrosse. In men's lacrosse, will be at Warren Wilson in the Battle of the Blue Ridge. That's on Saturday at 4 p.m. in Swannanoa, North Carolina. That brings us to track and field in the USA South Conference Track and Field Championships. First time in school history that the Tornadoes will be hosting this event. Thursday and Friday at the Frank Patton track right here on the campus of Brevard College. And to help tell you all about it, we're going to invite into the program our first guest of the evening, head track and field coach Darryll Patrick. Coach Patrick, thanks for joining the program.
Thanks for having me, Phil.
Well, what a week as we head towards the first ever hosting of the USA South Conference Track and Field Championships. They take place Thursday and Friday, all day events, all sorts of events within the event, taking place. But would love just kind of your overall thoughts as far as this honor for the USA South Conference and responsibility that we have to, put on a good show this week. Tell us a little bit what it's like from your perspective.
Yeah, from a hosting standpoint, I mean, it's really exciting for Brevard to be having this platform to be able to do this. So when it was presented to us, it was one of those, it was a little scary at first, but now that we've kind of gotten the logistics down and trying to get everything set up for this meet, I'm pretty excited for what we're going to have in store later this week. And but yeah, it's a huge honor, and we're excited. We can't wait to be done for sure, but also just to see what we can do better the next time around. So, but yeah, definitely, like you said, first time ever hosting a meet like this. So definitely exciting times.
Yeah, and the Frank Patton track right here on the Brevard College campus. Coach, a great opportunity for members of the campus community, anyone nearby, to just come on, roll into campus and check out some track and field. Tell us a little bit about, sort of the spectator experience that folks can expect.
Yeah. So like you said, track's an all day thing. So, a lot of times like family and friends will show up maybe during certain points of like when they think or will, their student athletes will compete. So there's that part of track and field where, your event might only last literally 10 to 15 seconds, and then you're done for a little while, and you do another event a couple hours later, stuff like that. But, yeah, definitely an all-day event, and we're going to have sections where hopefully we can get a big crowd from the student athletes around campus supporting the track and field team. So yeah, so like pick your spots when you can to take a break and go to concessions, stuff like that. But overall, there's always something going, whether it's over at the throws, over on the track. So yeah, it's going to be going from 11, 12 o'clock all the way until 6, 7 o'clock. So yeah, just come out and have fun.
Yeah, and Coach, you mentioned the responsibility of hosting and the logistics and so forth. Give us a little bit of an idea of exactly what that takes in terms of, people on the ground, whether it be officials, timing and scoring folks, volunteers, this cast of thousands, if you will, who it takes to put on an event like this. Take us behind the curtain a little bit there.
Yeah, for sure. So, so right now you need officials for pretty much every event. At least like on the field side, you need an official for each field event. On the track, you'll need several officials to make sure, like a starter, a backup starter, a couple officials on the track to make sure people are staying in their lanes or there's not any disqualifications around the track. So yeah, so you'll need several officials throughout the meets, and then volunteers for sure. I think right now we have about 30 to 40 volunteers coming, helping out, whether it's from the athletic department or student help, or anything, any way, shape, or form to get help. So yeah, there's definitely a lot of that logistic standpoint of making sure there's enough people to make things run smoothly. So that's important, and then always being on time. Because it's a set schedule, so if your event's at 1 o'clock, you better be ready, kind of thing, and up and go. So once one event's done, okay, if it's the hurdles, let's go and get a hurdle set up and try to be quick as you can. So yeah, there could be a lot of nerve-wracking things throughout, but we definitely have plenty of support to make sure this thing runs smoothly.
It kicks off on noon on Thursday. Women's and men's long jump, followed by men's and women's javelin, and then men's and women's discus and high jump on the field side. And then the running events on Thursday, beginning at 1:15, with a bunch of preliminaries and qualifying events and so forth. And then a ton of finals on Friday, beginning at 11 a.m. with more field events. And then you really get into, these running events, the relays and so forth, hurdle finals, you name it. and just a fantastic day. We encourage folks, we'll have the schedule up at bctornadoes.com where they can kind of plan out their day and so forth. But love to hear from you, Coach, as far as how you would approach it. If you're coming, if say you didn't have a rooting interest necessarily, and you just wanted to take this in, do you have any advice for the fan who might be showing up for the first time?
Yeah, great question. So I think honestly, you want to see the competitiveness. You want to see, yes, there's several heats of events, but you want to look at marks. You want to look at times. Like, I see this person ran under 60 seconds for a 400 for the women's 400. That's a pretty good time. Let's see what the next heat brings. You kind of really pay attention to a lot of those things, to how those stack up later on in those finals and the prelims to finals. So just kind of really pay attention to that. But like I said, the competitiveness. I think, a lot, speaking for my program, during I call it the regular season, invitational meets that we go to throughout the year. This is a time for them to, still compete and improve, but mainly there's improving for themselves, like improving for PRs or, best throws, stuff like that. Here in conference, it's, yes, I want you guys to PR. Of course I do. But at the end of the day, like, go out there and win. Try to get the best place you can get. If you have your, third or fourth worst, run of the season, but you still won, like, hey, that's great. It's points for the team. So it's kind of more of a sacrifice more than, more individualized. So though both can go hand in hand, just really watch out for, like, especially the relays. Relays are really intense, especially the 4x1, anything can happen, kind of thing. And then, rounded up at the very last event with the 4x4, that always kind of gets the crowd going to see, changes of places throughout the whole lap. It gets pretty fun.
Yeah, the schedule on Friday, 11:30 a.m., that women's 4x100 really kicking off all those running finals with a bang, and then 11:40 a.m. right following it, the men's 4x100. And like you said, the last events of the day on Friday, the women's and men's 4x400 meters. And I would imagine, Coach, sometimes those determine the overall team champion for the conference, correct?
Yeah, for sure. And there's been several, championships, in years prior where it's come down to a 4x4. For instance, on top of my head, I think it was 2018 or 19, the USC Trojans D1. They were down 8 points going into the 4x4. They were in second place with like 50 meters left, and this girl came out of nowhere. Lean got the win, and the team that was ahead by 8 points ended up not even getting a single point, and that helped them win nationals. So that was, one of the all-time, like, great comebacks. So that's just on top of my head, but yeah, it definitely can come down to that.
Yeah, outstanding, Coach. Looking forward to bringing all the action to the fans this week, Thursday and Friday at the Frank Patton track. Appreciate all the hard work you're putting in to make it happen as well. One more quick one before we bring in our student athletes. You can't help but notice the women's and men's 5,000 meter run towards the very end of the day on Friday. And then, one of the last events of the day on Thursday, the 10,000 meter run. We've talked a lot of cross country on the show. We've got a strong distance tradition here at Brevard College, but take us a little bit as far as that competitive side and perhaps some of the strategy we might be witnessing when it comes to the distance events on the track.
Great question. So actually in years prior, we would submit our entries, look at the entries, and then we can scratch athletes based on how we look or how we stack up. Definitely a lot of strategy there. But now we're doing this blind. So we have no idea what other teams are doing. We're just going based off results. So yeah, there's definitely strategy on, okay, this person is stronger in the 5K to, potentially get points, or this person is stronger, potentially getting points in the 10K, so on and so forth. So yeah, it's a great question. I think the training, they're able, someone like Zoe, I'll go ahead and tell you, she's going to be running the 10,000 meters on Thursday, and she'll turn around the next day and run the 5,000. It sounds crazy to most people, but she's trained hard enough to where, she can run, compete, hopefully run a good time, but definitely at least put herself out there. And then the next day, same thing, put yourself out there. So yeah, definitely you want to be cautious, make sure you're not doing too much to them, because if they get to by the end of their last event and they're just spent, like then I won't say you waste an opportunity, but you might have done too much early. And so definitely want to, pick and choose what battles you want to win for sure.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. And Coach mentioned Zoe Capps, who finished third place in that regular season finale in one of those distance events. So a lot of promise there heading into the USA South Conference Championships. Well, Coach, can you stick with us a couple more moments here? We're going to invite in a couple of your student athletes as entering the conversation now. Gabriel Covington and also Isabell Musser. Great to have the two of them here. But Coach, before we will let you go, two things. I want you to introduce these two to NATO Nation, but I also want you to educate NATO Nation on what it takes to be a thrower, which each of these two are, and how much hard work that takes, and also, just how much focus and just kind of that whole art form of what we'll be witnessing on Thursday and Friday in those field events.
Yeah. So I'll start with Isabell. Isabell is actually a local from Brevard, North Carolina. So exciting that she decided to come back and stick around for a little bit. She did transfer. She did come from UNC Asheville. So she spent a year there and then came here. She's been a blessing being here at Brevard, being on the team. She's very knowledgeable with throwing. So it's kind of not that hard to really coach her up a little bit. So it just might fine tweak here and there, but she's definitely helped the program on the throw side really grow and really blossom on not just from a teaching standpoint, but just making everyone want to get better. So she's definitely very competitive and looking forward to seeing how she does this weekend. So, yep. And then Gabriel Covington, seems like he's been on the team for 10 years, but I think it's 5th or 6th year. So very, very honored to be coaching him for a very long time. He's kind of the origin of this program. And he can tell you, kind of see how this throws program has grown from where he was. And so he's basically my other coach out on there. So anything that I've taught him, he kind of, again, branches out to them. So what it takes to be a thrower, and to be honest, it's very skilled, very specific stuff. Like, yes, strength is very important. Like, strength can get you a little bit there for sure, the raw talent. But the technique is extremely important, and make sure you're athletic and you have some speed to you. Like, you can't just go out there and muscle up a shot put throw or discus or javelin throw. Like, that can only get you so far. And so they can tell you, like, technique, cannot preach that enough, how important it is to, it's not going to be perfect, but find something that works for them to improve that outcome.
Outstanding. Well, appreciate that insight, Coach Darryll Patrick. Can't wait to see you out there at the Frank Patton track beginning Thursday, USA South Conference Championships. Best of luck this week, Coach.
Appreciate you. Thanks.
All right, there he goes, head coach Darryll Patrick. And as he helped introduce us to our next guest here in that upper right location, the graduate student from Charlotte, North Carolina, Gabriel Covington. Gabriel, welcome back to the show.
Thank you.
And also with us, Isabell Musser, the junior from right here in Brevard, also a thrower. And great to have Isabell here for her Tornado Talk debut. Isabell, welcome aboard.
Thank you.
Well, it's great to have you guys on such an exciting week for the USA South Conference track and field competitors. And for us at Brevard College, we're hosting this event. Let's start with you, Gabe. How does it feel to actually have this event happening on campus? We're about to host the USA South Track and Field Championships right here in our backyard.
Yeah, the experience is really cool. I mean, thankfully, we don't have to travel all the way to Kentucky for a conference, so it's pretty cool to have it right outside in our backyard.
Yeah, and Isabell, anything to add to that as far as, just kind of what you guys are talking about as student athletes? Like, hey, this is going to be nice. You're able to sleep in your own bed and do your normal routine, and then get to do your thing at the Frank Patton track where you guys practice all the time.
Yeah, it's definitely great not to have to get up at like 6 a.m. or 5 a.m. anymore this season. It's great to be able to, enjoy the day first and then be able to jump right into it.
Well, I do want to get it. Yeah, no doubt about it. And hopefully, Isabell, some of the local fans who know you here from being in Brevard will be able to come out as well. Gabe, I would like to touch a little bit on what Coach was talking about as far as sort of the technical part of what you guys do. And you'll be throwing shot put and discus, correct, on Thursday and Friday at the USA South Conference Championships. And I'd love for you to tell our audience, educate us a little bit about those two disciplines, shot put and discus, and just what it takes to succeed.
Just like Coach Darryll said earlier, a lot of it is a lot of speed and momentum. And a lot of people actually try to, grab a shot put and just muscle it from the arm. And that's not necessarily what, you're supposed to do. I mean, you have some people that do it and they succeed at it. But here we focus more so in shot put, you either glide or spin. And in discus, you probably end up spinning by the time we come around the conference. So,
and just one follow-up there, tell us what a glide is.
Oh gosh, so a glide is basically when you start at one end of the ring and just really kick back as hard as you can to get towards the toe port, and then you throw and release.
Very good. And Isabell, shot put, discus, and javelin. So tell us about the javelin and how that's different than those two other disciplines.
Yeah, javelin is a lot different from those two. It's a lot more technique than probably any of them. I've thrown it for a few years and I still haven't quite gotten the technique right. But it's a lot of work, and a lot of people who typically sprint also do jabs. So it's not just like a thrower specific event. It's very heavy on, making sure you've got the right sprint and your right technique in both your whole body form and your arm release itself. So it's pretty intricate.
And of the three, Isabell, is there one that you have as your favorite, the one you enjoy the most?
It changes constantly. In high school, it was probably the jab. Now it's probably discus, and it's still a little changing every day, but we'll see at conference with my favorite.
Yeah, kind of like we'll let the results decide for us, I would imagine, in a sense. Gabe, how about you? Which do you prefer?
I'd say discus.
Discus.
Yeah.
Very
Yes.
good. And Gabe, I've been noticing more and more, like Coach said, you've been part of this program for several years now, but I'm seeing more and more young underclassmen, student athletes here at Brevard College getting into this throwing deal. Can you talk a little bit about that? How, it's starting to, gain a little popularity and you're seeing more and more guys try it?
So I'd say my freshman year, we started out with 2 throwers. It was me and another guy named Joseph. And so, like, transitioning from just 2 to about, I don't even know how many we have now, is pretty cool because it lightens the load on us as well. But one thing I do like about our team being so young is that they're hungry. And that was something that we missed in recent years. A lot of those guys, well, Grace and Izzy both actually pushed me to do better as well. So it's a collective thing, and I just love my team.
Yeah, and Isabell, Gabe made a good point there as far as you as teammates working with each other, helping each other, maybe with that form and so forth, encouraging each other, challenging each other, all these things. Can you talk a little bit about that? How track and field's also a team sport, even though you're going for an individual result?
Yeah, it's definitely heavy on the team, especially for us throwers. We don't really have a coach to specifically tell us what we need to do. So we kind of help record each other and show each other form we need to change. I introduced Grace Pukas this year to a weighted disc, which she was not familiar with prior. So it's kind of like just sharing our knowledge between each other to kind of help each other grow and do better and push each other. Grace today did a really good throw in discus at practice. She's kind of pushing herself based off of the team throws. So it's very much a community environment and very much so a big supportive team environment, even on the sprinter side.
Very cool. And Isabell, when did you first get into track and field? Can you tell us kind of when it all started for you?
Yeah, I've been throwing since 8th grade at Brevard Middle School. My mom she was like a legacy here at Brevard. So her and one of her teammates, probably my PE teacher, kind of pushed me into doing it, even though I did not want to do it at all costs. And, here I am now after all these years. I think it's been like 8 years.
Very cool. And Gabe, did you have experience in throwing before you arrived here at Brevard College?
Not one bit.
Not one bit.
The track tried to recruit me, but I went to go play baseball. So
Very good. Well, it's a testament to your versatility, Gabe, that you've been able to, switch from one sport to the other with such success. Well, would like NATO Nation to learn a little bit about each of you and so forth. And Gabe Covington, a grad student here at Brevard College, a Brevard College alum already, with that degree in hand, but now in the graduate program. Tell us a little bit, Gabe, what you're up to in the classroom. What are your graduate studies?
Oh man. So I'm getting my graduate degree, a master's degree in health and human performance with a concentration in strength and conditioning. That specific degree is both challenging and rewarding. And that's something that I really came back to get, was that challenging aspect of it. And basically just to finish out my years in track.
Yeah, outstanding. Well, we're glad you made that decision and can't wait to see it. This is one more for you, Gabe, on this subject, because this has got to be pretty special for you personally, pretty sentimental. Like Coach said, you've been with this program from its roots, kind of like where we're at today in this era of BC track and field. And you're going to be out there as a graduate student one more time right here at the Frank Patton track. Have you kind of put that in perspective? You had a chance to sort of reflect a little on that?
I'll say today, it really hit me. 'Cause I'm like, man, this is the last one. I mean, it's been a long time coming, but track and field is a passion of mine. And it's one of those things that you don't want to see it leave or walk away so quickly from it. So it was weird. It was a weird day, but I come to terms with it and I'm all good. Just give it my best,
Very good. Well, we can't wait to see you in action, my friend. And also Isabell Musser with us, the junior from right here in Brevard. Tell us a little bit, Isabell, about your studies. What are you working on academically?
Yeah, right now I'm working on my biology degree. I transferred in with that, and I've been kind of running with it since day one, since I entered college.
And do you have ambitions as far as what you would like to do with that degree once you graduate?
Yeah, my future plans are to be a zookeeper, preferably work at the nature center, hands-on with exotic animals, and kind of work my way up to bigger zoos.
Very cool. And one more for you, Isabell. Brevard, North Carolina, local. You mentioned you went to school right here nearby, just a couple miles away. Tell us a little bit now that you're a student at Brevard College. Tell us about that experience for you. How have you liked it? But also, being right here, where you're from.
Yeah, it's great to be home, actually. I was kind of forced to stay local since I don't drive, so it's kind of my way of staying close to home. But I kind of got pushed by Gabe himself to actually transfer here to Brevard. And I was thinking of transferring my freshman year. So it's kind of been great to be home and to throw at the same track I've been throwing at since day one. As long as the throwing pits have been here, I've been here. So it's great to actually get to compete at such a big meet and be home and have all my friends and family come out and support me and see what my team's been doing all season.
Very cool. Yeah, there's middle school meets all the time here, with the Brevard and Transylvania County schools and so forth. So it is it's got to be special for you in that whole regard. So really cool. Appreciate you sharing that with us. Well, before we let you go, do want to give you each the opportunity for any shout outs or thank yous. Anybody that may have helped you along the way, anybody who may or may not be watching this program this evening, but the floor is yours. We'll start with the graduate student, Gabe Covington.
Yeah. So I just like to thank teammates, both past and present. Special shout out to Courtney. She know who she is. Thank you so much. And my lovely team. I love y'all from the bottom of my heart. Thank you for making this last year special.
Outstanding, Gabe Covington. We can't wait to see you this weekend at the Frank Patton track. Isabell Musser, same opportunity for you. Shout outs or thank yous?
Yeah, definitely want to shout out Gabe himself for pushing me all these years that he's been here and I've been here myself. Shout out to my middle school throws coach, high school throws coach, kind of Mountain Lake throws coach throughout, and my mom, who's definitely been my day one coach, still coach out here with everybody else.
Outstanding. Well said, both of you all. We'll be out there every step of the way, every throw, every jump, every sprint. We're going to be documenting it this weekend, Thursday and Friday at the Frank Patton track. Fans, hope you can come on out and see these student athletes perform. It's going to be a lot of fun. And hey, best of luck and great job on the show tonight, Isabell and Gabe. Great to talk with you and catch up with you. And we'll see you out there at the Frank Patton track on Thursday and Friday.
Thank you.
Love you, Coach Darryll.
There it is. One final shout out there from Gabe Covington. And we're going to switch gears now and invite into the program, joined once again by Director of Athletics, Myranda Nash. Myranda, how are you?
I'm great, Phil. How are you?
Doing great. What a week to be a tornado. The USA South
Oh.
Conference Track and Field Championships. We'll get into that in just a moment, but the campus is still buzzing from what happened here on Thursday night of last week. The BESPYs Awards right at the Boshemer Gymnasium, a celebration of BC athletics. We had all sorts of awards handed out. All sorts of celebrations, all sorts of special moments. Now that you've had a couple days to maybe, re-energize, Myranda, can you reflect back on the BESPYs and this year's edition?
Yeah, it's always just so much fun. We have a very full room in Boshemer Gym, and it's so nice to be able to recognize a year of success for our student athletes. And also recognize special people that we like to remember throughout the year by honoring awards named after them, having them come back. It's a special night to be together. Usually we're pretty much done at the end of this. So it's kind of nice to have a lot of postseason runs going on and still feel like we're sprinting to the end here.
Yeah, good point. Well, I do want to reflect back on that evening a little more. If folks weren't able to be here or tune in on the YouTube broadcast, a little later in the show, we're going to have two of the gentlemen who helped us MC the event. Let's start with them, Brady, Penn, and Scott Douglas. For the first time, we kind of brought in that student broadcaster element into the show.
Yeah, they took a lot of pressure off of our SAC exec. They were very happy to not have the pressure of getting up in front of 400 people to give out these awards. And honestly, it's just so fitting. They've been a part of the voice of the Tornadoes all year, and our students resonate with them calling their games and announcing. So I was thrilled that they were willing to be a part of the show and take on such a big responsibility and do a fantastic job.
And while they were sort of the front-facing MCs of the event, do want to mention SAC, who gave out their annual superlative awards as well. But President Jamarcus Walker, Vice President Brooke Garland, also Kaylin Murphy, Sly White, and Cass Hutto. Great work behind the scenes by SAC as well, right, Myranda?
Absolutely. Our goal is to make it better every single year. And I felt like this year was just a really great show. And I think that, at the end of the night, everyone feels encouraged to be a tornado. And that's the goal of it, is to celebrate all the good that's happened and continue that success moving forward.
You mentioned some of these special awards, and I want to touch on a couple of them because folks might not know the whole background on some of them. And the first one is the Ann Edders Award, and it ends up going this year to Emily Denega of women's lacrosse. And, it goes to an outstanding underclassman, regardless of sport, who's just gotten it done in all areas: community service, academics, athletics. And it's named after just such a wonderful supporter of Brevard College athletics, Ann Edders. Tell us a little more, Myranda.
Yeah, Ann worked at BC for about 45 years. Maybe it was 48 years. It was an incredibly long time. And I met Miss Ann in 2010. They got a football game. And, she comes to so many events. And we couldn't imagine a more fitting award named after someone who just exemplifies excellence everywhere. And, she is a phenomenal member of our community, our campus community, and our Brevard community. And so this is a really special award that we give out every year to an underclassman who we see a really bright future in. And so it's a really special award.
There's also the John McKissick Award, which specifically goes to a football senior student athlete who got it done both on and off the field. This year's award goes to Mitchell Yoder. Hey, also a big shout out to Mitchell Yoder. If you follow BC social media, he's been doing wonderful work in the videography department as far as some of the things he's been producing, and has a bright career in that as well. But the John McKissick Award, this is special for the football program in specific, and obviously named after a legend in John McKissick.
Yeah, he was one of the most winningest football coaches and was an alum of Brevard. And that award is selected by Coach Bill Kyatt, and it is the ultimate award for any football player that comes to Brevard College, they want to receive that because it says that you do all the things right.
Outstanding. Well, congratulations, Mitchell Yoder, on that. Also, the Chuck Dunbar Award. We mentioned Scott Douglas, one of the MCs of the award, of the award ceremony, but he also wins the Chuck Dunbar Team Spirit Award, named after a legendary broadcaster here at Brevard College, Chuck Dunbar. Tell us a little more, Myranda.
I remember Chuck, very colorful commentator at basketball and football games. He was also general manager at Zaxby's and had a wonderful partnership with athletics. He actually passed away from cancer, and so we wanted to name an award after him for his just enthusiasm for our student athletes at Brevard College and our community. And so it was so fitting that Scott wins this award because it is exactly the person that I remember him being. And so we're just really proud that he can honor him in that way.
Very cool. Also, for the second year, the David and Lynn Joyce Legacy Award. And, this is an award that began last year upon the retirement of President David Joyce, First Lady Lynn Joyce as well. They're enjoying retirement now. Jock Pledger from football and baseball wins the award. And this is a student athlete who's been at Brevard College all 4 years of their collegiate career, and once again, getting it done in all areas, on the field, on the court, you name it, but plus community service and academic excellence as well, leadership qualities, all these things. And Jock Pledger, a worthy recipient. It was special to have David and Lynn back at the Bespies, Myranda. And, I know this is an award we as an athletic department are really proud to offer every year.
Yeah, the idea is that David and Lynn left such a wonderful legacy on the community here for Brevard. And so, who could we select that would also simulate the legacy in which the spirit that they lived and worked here. And Jock is a wonderful person to represent that.
Just a couple more, and then we'll move on from all these Bespies awards. But it's worth noting the Team GPA Award going to women's soccer. By the way, women's soccer also had a big moment with a viral social media video that we were able to display to the crowd. But the Team GPA Award, people might not realize how competitive internally it is here at Brevard College as the teams work hard in the classroom and try to, win this award ultimately, the best cumulative Team GPA. Women's soccer, the winner this year, Myranda.
Yeah, everyone wants that banner to hang in their locker rooms, a 3.57 Team GPA for them. So they have a lot to be proud of. That's a very high GPA to get that many women doing the right things in the classroom. And
another women's sport, women's lacrosse, winning the Tornado Cup. Not the first time that they've walked away with this trophy. And once again, kind of an internal competition between all the teams, but this one covers it all, as far as just that well-rounded 360-degree approach of the student athlete, excellence here at Brevard College. And women's lacrosse does it once again, Myranda.
Yeah, we had 3 teams vying for the cup this year. So, yeah, would be proud. I am proud of all of them for the efforts that they put in to making their collegiate experience well-rounded. But, there's something about the T-shirts and like getting the cup and keeping it in bragging rights. So happy for them.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, a special night this past Thursday night, that the Bespies, a celebration of Brevard College athletics. And do want to mention, the whole night, a big part of it was Dr. Stephen Knott, the late Dr. Knott, our faculty athletics representative, and, just did so much in so many ways here at Brevard College. We had his regalia on display. We had a special tribute video as well. I know, this evening, including the student athlete stoles, which were presented by now FAR, Dr. Joshua Wilkie, was Dr. Knott's idea. And, just kind of cool to be able to incorporate all that. And I know that meant a lot to the student athletes as well. Correct, Myranda?
Absolutely. This year's been about how to remember him and keep the spirit and the legacy of Dr. Knott alive. And our Scholar Athlete Stoles is one way that those will be remembered forever. And it's an opportunity for us to talk about who he is and how much he meant on our campus every single year. Well,
some other sad news recently here in the Brevard College Tornado Nation we lost a Brevard College Hall of Famer, Coach Mike Jones, and just an incredible legacy. Coach Mike Jones, had some great runs here as the head coach of Brevard College, went on to some big things after Brevard College, just beloved by so many here at Brevard, and was inducted into the Hall of Fame a couple years ago. And, sadly passed away recently. There's going to be a memorial coming up soon. But Myranda, I know you've had a relationship with Coach Jones, and you also know so many of his former players and colleagues and all these things. Would love for your reflection on the legacy of Coach Mike Jones.
Yeah, you could not smile. And that really knew how to connect with students, how to make their better. He but he was away, and him for advice. He was the institutional knowledge of Brevard College athletics. He was the person I knew that had worked here the longest. And so if I needed to know anything about the basketball court, Mike Jones is who I called. So, he is going to be missed so great. Look forward to seeing his spirit live on his 3 daughters, because they will remember him fondly, and as we all, and his former players. And I think the memorial service is going to be incredibly difficult, but I think will be incredibly rewarding to see impacted.
Friday, May the 12th, it's at 3 p.m. at the 5 Point Church in Easley, South Carolina. Would love for the Brevard College community to be able to share in that, and just all the best to his family and friends and loved ones. And what a legacy, Coach Mike Jones. He won't be forgotten around here, that's for sure. And, part of that Hall of Fame as well. Well, Myranda, a busy week on the field and on the, in this case, the track this week, as well as the Tornadoes will be hosting the USA South Conference Championships. We talked to Darryll Patrick. We talked to a couple of the student athletes, but this is a first for Brevard College, the USA South Conference Track and Field Championships. Tell us a little bit from your perspective, from your seat, what it's like to be the host of this event.
A little terrifying, been looking at the weather a lot. Anytime you have something outdoor and you're getting to the end of things, you're kind of thinking that maybe you could have some type of rain dance to make it go away. No, it's an incredible opportunity. I'm excited for our student athletes to be able to host other institutions here. Obviously, we want to make them proud of our operations and how we do things. So, but it's a lot. It's a lot. And Kristen has been doing a phenomenal job to keep everything on track, as well as Coach Patrick.
Yeah, Kristen Rosado doing a lot of the behind the scenes work, and also the head coach of the women's lacrosse program. And Myranda, a record-breaking year for women's lacrosse. I mean, what a season they've been having. We had WLOS television out here the other day, documenting it all as well. And heading towards the postseason, the women's lacrosse season, a record-breaking season.
Yeah, I was joking the other day that I finally think I've learned. I think I've finally gotten. I'll forget it until next year, But I was talking when we had played Ferrum just to see how much the draw control really matters on momentum, and that was like the first time I was like, "Oh, okay, I get it. I get this." No, it has been so fun to see their success in the senior group. Man, they have really. I mean, they've led the way. They've put in the hard work, and then we have some incredible talent. They've started figuring it out. So it's been really fun to watch them.
Men's tennis headed way out east to Methodist, and they did lose today in that first round, but they did qualify for the USA South Conference tournament. So congratulations to them. And then women's tennis will be hosting a USA South Conference tournament first round matchup. That's tomorrow, 2:30 p.m. at the McCoy Tennis Complex on Tuesday of this week. I hope folks can come out for that. We'll also be broadcasting it as well. What a season for women's tennis, Myranda. I mean, putting themselves in this position, to once again host the USA South Conference match. But, they've had a great run this year.
Absolutely. And anytime that you can host at home is just a testament to the hard work that you put in the preseason for them in the fall. I mean, tennis is year round. So they've had a long year of tennis, and I hope they make the most of it, make their run.
Yeah, hope folks can come out tomorrow to the McCoy Tennis Complex. First serve at 2:30 p.m. Men's lacrosse, not done yet. The Blue Ridge rivalry. Now, this one's going to be at Warren Wilson in Swannanoa, North Carolina. And it's going to be fun to see, the men's lacrosse program try to keep that trophy here at Brevard. What a cool little rivalry this has become, Myranda. We got this started last year, but it's really kind of turned into something significant where these student athletes are really looking forward to this game. I ran into a couple of the players earlier, and they're fired up to battle at the Blue Ridge.
Anytime you can have something that you win at the end, I think fires it up. And then there's like this name to it. No, it's fun to have some healthy rivalry amongst mountain schools. So I think it ought to be a lot of fun for them.
Yeah, 4 p.m. Saturday in Swannanoa, if you want to check that out on the campus of Warren Wilson. A couple other spring sports still heading down the home stretch here. Softball still in the postseason hunt. We'll see what happens there. They have a couple of road games, then also their home finale on Sunday. And then baseball currently in 4th place in the conference standings, battling for position. It's a competitive, tight baseball standings when you look at the USA South Conference. I know you're proud of all the spring sports, but really exciting with the diamond as well, both softball and baseball.
Yeah, it's fun to have a rainy spring. Every weekend it feels like it has rained the last 6 weekends. And so it's just to play weatherman and figure your travel out, trying to figure out and hotels, and are you not officials. I mean, there's so much involved in the process of changing games. Are you going to have umpires? Can they do it? I mean, there's so much involved. And when one thing doesn't work, you have proud of our coaches for being able to navigate all of those hard things, those conversations, and giving our student athletes the best chance to make postseason.
Outstanding. Well, graduation will be right around the corner as well, but before we know it, in a lot of ways, it seemed like, Myranda, this year has kind of flown by, but now that we're in this home stretch, we're heading towards graduation. Final thoughts as far as just what's been accomplished this year, and I know there's still more to come with the spring sports, but another great year in the books for Brevard College athletics.
Haven't quite got there, Phil. I haven't quite unpacked it this year yet. There's so much. Incredibly proud of our teams, and incredibly proud for the progress that they've made, where they're going, and the success that they're going to have in the future. I always say each year we get better, and that's our goal. That's our goal, from an administration team as well. And so, I'm excited about our future. I'm excited about the things that we have coming for Brevard College athletics. And this year is it's stepping stones to get to it. And so you see that success build, with men's soccer, giving those rings out at the BESPYs. It was great. I hope that we get to do that for a lot of other sports.
Outstanding. Well, appreciate you joining the show this evening, Myranda, and also your leadership of the athletic department. A lot to be proud of in 2022 and 23. And we'll see you at the Frank Patton track later this week for the USA South Conference Championships.
Absolutely.
All right. Thank you very much. There she goes, Myranda Nash. And we're going to bring in our final 2 guests of the evening. Looking forward to talking a little with these two guys who know how to talk, who know their way around a microphone. In that upper right corner, Brady, Penn, and also in the lower middle location, Scott Douglas, the 2 Brevard College student broadcasters, amongst some other students here, but these 2 have really done, a lot of the lion's share this year. Brady, how are you this evening?
I'm good, Phil. How are you?
Doing great. And Scott Douglas with us as well. How are you, Scott?
I'm doing good, thanks.
Well, I want to start with this role that the 2 of you were in this past week. We talked a bunch about the BESPYs with Director of Athletics Myranda Nash, but the 2 of you had the opportunity to co-MC the event, and that had to be a different perspective for you. You're used to being with your teammates and maybe watching from a little bit of afar, but here you were front and center in having to do all sorts of coordination, but also making sure you deliver the messages and the award winners and all these things. Brady, let's start with you. How was that experience handling the MC work at the Bespies?
Usually I do more of the play-by-play kind of behind the camera, not really in front of the live audience. The emceeing is sort of more Scott's thing. I've seen him kill it a few times doing that, but it was a fun experience. You get up there, no matter how many times you've spoken in front of people or whatever, and like the first thing that you have to say, you might be a little bit nervous. You kind of got the butterflies, but then after that, it gets rolling, and it was fun. It was a lot of fun. Got to award a few people that or give awards to people that I'm close with, like Jock Pledger and a few others, and then got to see Scott win an award right next to me, so that was cool too.
Yeah, and how about yourself, Scott?
So that was actually my first Bespies. I didn't get to go to the one last year because of prior arrangements. But it was very cool to be a part of that, and seeing everyone there that was like very excited to be there. So it was overall a great experience. And then, winning the award was a huge surprise.
Yeah, no doubt. And Brady mentioned being able to award some of his teammates. You got the same opportunity with Ryan Lynch winning that male athlete of the award. But ironically enough, Ryan is in London, England, your hometown, and so we had to sort of ad lib a little bit as far as who was able to accept that award. Tell us about that.
Yeah, that was very cool. It was hard to keep that quiet, knowing that my teammates were gonna be there. And I just know how much of a strong unit that team is. You've seen the things they've done over the last 2 years under Coach, 3 years under Coach L, and it's been very cool to see. So I knew that they would all be excited that Ryan Lynch won it because he represents our team.
Yeah, no doubt about that. And, Brady, you alluded to being able to, announce the awards of Jock Pledger. Tell us a little bit, those who listen to the baseball broadcast might know a little bit of your history with Jock, but it's really significant as far as, just how far you guys go back and how tight you are. Tell us a little more.
So I've known Jock since I was like 14 years old. When I moved to Walnut Grove High School, Jock was one of the first teammates that I met, one of the first teammates that kind of stuck out to me too. We were both DBs, both receivers. And so me and Jock got to be pretty close, and we hung out all throughout high school. And when he went to sign with the school, he signed with Brevard. I had never heard of Brevard before. And the next year I had my senior season, and I got an offer from Brevard. Jock kind of talked me through everything, what he liked about the school. And so I decided to come here in large part thanks to him and Tyson Rumley, who used to go here, that also went to high school with us. And so Jock was really big in me getting here and being able to play with him both at high school and in college, being in the same position room. It's been really cool.
Very cool. Well, I do want to, let NATO Nation know a little more about some of the things you guys got done over this academic year. And Scott, we'll start with you. First of all, you called the majority of the men's and women's soccer broadcasts, play-by-play announcing, usually solo, doing it this year, on your own. Tell us a little bit about that, maybe some of the things you learned along the way, and, what you enjoy most, and maybe what you try to provide to the audience with the soccer play-by-play.
Yeah. So it was very different this year because we had the press box. So I was a little bit more secluded, a little bit more away from the fans or anybody that's in attendance. So that was a little bit different. So learning how to kind of hear a little bit of the reaction, but know that the people at home watching through the stream aren't hearing that also because of how distanced I am. So kind of working on that. But most of the time, I focus on the storytelling. What is happening in front of me, so that they can be able to see that. And I also like to give a bit of an insight on things that I can see because of my positioning, whereas the players on the field can't see it. Like if there's a pass that they should play because someone's open on the other side, but they've got their back to that position, stuff like that, small things like that. I like to bring the listeners or viewers in on those kind of things, because it makes a difference, them understanding the game a little bit more, for parents that watch it just to see, or like people that just watch it to see certain people that they know may not fully understand the game. So I try to give them a bit more of that information.
And one follow up there, Scott. I know you're a big Premier League fan, and you've been watching these matches on television. For probably since you're a young lad, and now here you are broadcasting the game. Tell us some of the things you may have picked up along the way from the great commentators of the Premier League and international soccer and so forth that you've tried to incorporate into your broadcast.
A lot of it is just being human. Having the reaction I have just watching any game, being down the middle and being able to say when things should be better, or being able to give credit to people when their efforts are there, but maybe the result isn't quite there. And yeah, a lot of the times, especially in England, the co-commentator are ex-football players or soccer players. So they're ex-players. So, they chime in more about the tactical things that they're noticing from either side, whereas the play-by-play commentator is the one that's talking about what's going where, who's passing the ball, and I try to find that balance, especially because I'm doing that by myself. So it also helps kind of being able to take a break from one thing and go into another thing and hopefully give a well-rounded performance.
Outstanding. And sticking with the play-by-play discipline, Brady Penn, junior here at Brevard College. Baseball, softball this spring. I know you've trained your hand at lacrosse in your career. Also, men's and women's basketball. You did a ton of those games. Exciting seasons for both those teams again this year. Tell us a little bit about your play-by-play journey, Brady, and these experiences here at Brevard College, and the things that you've been trying to bring to the audience.
Well, for everyone who doesn't know, I didn't really have any kind of background with this. I just kind of reached out to you one afternoon when I was thinking about it, and I was like, hey, I'd love to try and call a game or something like that. And then quickly got going last winter with basketball, and then just kept going with the other sports. I remember you asked me if I could do a lacrosse game, and I was like, I've never watched a lacrosse game in my life. I don't know the terms, but I can try. And we got some good feedback on that. So it ended up being a positive experience. But yeah, kind of like what Scott said, you just want to paint the story. And I think another key is you want to paint the story in as many different ways as possible. It's all about the art of saying the same thing over and over in different ways, trying to broaden your vocabulary with different sports, things like that. But it's super cool experience, especially the basketball games. It gets pretty loud. And then at the baseball games, just seeing the kind of energy and the environment that the team plays in out there, especially those conference games. It's very fun to watch that group of guys. And it's just a fun time getting to watch all these different sports.
And one of Brady's, signature calls ends up being selected as an STAA National Call of the Week. One of your baseball calls this year involving Frankie Vasquez in a walk-off at Gil Cone Field. Tell us a little bit about that, that call in specific, but also, maybe the experience of receiving word that, hey, one of my calls is suddenly getting national attention.
Yeah, so I remember that was a game that the video stream went out because it was super windy. It was like national wind warnings in North Carolina. I mean, guys, hats were flying off, dust was flying all up in the air, and it was crazy to see. I think Logan Clark's hat came off like 5 times that game just due to wind. But no, the video stream cut out. We didn't really know what to do. And then you suggested the idea of the radio stream. And I was like, we can do it. So we got the score put on the black screen since the camera was out, and then got the microphone, got to kind of do my thing. And that ended up being a really good game against a really good team. And we had the lead late. I remember they tied it up, or I think they even took the lead at the end of the game, and we came back to tie it. It was a super stressful game. And I was sitting there, I was a little upset. I was like, man, we're about to blow this game. Then all of a sudden we come back and tie it. We go into the last inning, and Logan gets a leadoff double. I'm excited about that. I went back and listened to that whole 9th inning. I was excited. And then I remember thinking to Frankie, if he gets one in that middle area of the plate where he likes it, they can end the game right here because nobody's out. Or there was one out because Kale almost hit a home run to end it, I remember. But then Frankie, first pitch he got, sent it into the outfield. And I remember I yelled a little bit louder than I meant to. It gets really loud in the call because I was just so excited and jacked for Frankie and the boys. And then, a few days later, I saw a thread that was submissions for National Calls of the Week from STAA. And I submitted mine, and then I was in class a couple days after that and just got a notification on my phone that I was put on this thing, and it was pretty neat.
Yeah, congratulations on that. Great stuff, Brady. Also, shout out to Joseph Marvin getting it done on the technical end. We didn't even have power up there. We were able to pull off that radio broadcast. Also here with Scott Douglas, of course, the senior from London, England. One of the projects you worked on this year, Scott, was this series called Tornado Spotlight, where you had these long form sit down interviews with several coaches here at Brevard College, really kind of diving deep into, getting to know members of our coaching staff, Coach El Dana, Coach Juan Mascaro, senior, also Coach Donald Hudson. Tell us a little bit about that project.
Yeah, I should put it out there that it was kind of your idea to kind of do that thing. I was coming into my senior year and knowing that Coach L was the one that recruited me. I kind of wanted to have that moment to kind of sit with him and talk about his life before he brought me here, and kind of what the future looked like for him and what he wanted to do with this program. And I wanted to just do something small on Tornado Talk, and he was like, "No, let's amp it up. Let's do something. Let's do a sit down interview, a long form." And I was like, "Okay," and it was so good. It was such a blessing to be able to do something like that, and it was very nice to get to know these coaches. You see them on the touchline or on the side of the court every game, and you see them going to practice, and you see them doing all these other stuff around campus, but you don't really get to know them as people and get to know what their exact interests are. And it was kind of cool to be able to ask them certain questions that I know people may have been thinking, and be able to have people come up to me and say, "Oh, that was a really good interview. I didn't know that." And then other people, I remember Coach L had mentioned someone, and someone had said to me, "Oh my gosh, I listened to that, and I knew that person that he knew." And people are just making connections, and it's just good. I felt like it was something that brought the campus together, and on the athletic side, just that little bit more.
And what were your big learnings from Coach Mascaro and also Coach Hudson in those interviews?
Yeah, with Coach Hud, with him being someone that is a alum from here, it was very cool to kind of see how he made that transition from being a student into the coaching side, and even how he came here, and he's one of the youngest coaches we have. So getting to know his mindset and kind of see how he's developed his coaching style from the way he's played. And Juan Mascaro, Sr., he wears so many hats. And I think he was a great example of, his story was kind of how he saw the white squirrel and he just knew this was the place for him, and kind of just following your gut, because there's a lot of change that happens in people's lives. That's happened in my life. And that was something I was very much able to relate to, that he just followed his he followed his gut and just wears so many caps and gets everything done in the best he can.
Yeah, outstanding. Well, great work with that project, Scott. And back to you, Brady. We were talking about your play-by-play work. One of the things I've witnessed you do is reach out to some of the big names in sports broadcasting. You've started to work the network here, as far as sports broadcasters, whether they're baseball guys or football guys or basketball guys, what have you. Tell us a little bit about that in some of your, maybe these relationships you're making. I mean, don't feel free if you need to protect the anonymity of some of these guys or what have you. But, as far as that process goes, and maybe a couple of things that you've been able to learn from these guys who are at the top of their trade.
It's been really cool. I think the first time that happened for me was when I first started to get into it after basketball season last year. I made my first reel, which, like, looking back now after I've made some more, like, it's crazy how far that I've come in the process, because I look back now and I'm like, wow, I was such an amateur, and I've still got like such a long way to go. But no, the first person I reached out to was right after that season is Brian Anderson, who's one of my favorite announcers from TNT. And I shot him Instagram comment, I think it was. I was like, hey, I'd love if you would check out my stuff. And then he told me to send him my demo. And then I didn't hear back from him after that. But actually, as a matter of fact, a few months later, while I was at work at Truist Park, I saw him walking by, and I was like, oh, Mr. Anderson, like, and we talked again, and I showed him some of my stuff, and he gave me some quick feedback while he could, like even that 5-minute span he had. And we talked. He was a nice guy. And then sort of a similar experience, Ben Ingram, the Braves radio announcer. I shot him a text, a DM, and was like, hey, I work at the park. I'd love to meet you and talk to you and just like pick your brain. And sure enough, like he sent me an email back, gave me his phone number. We met, talked for like an hour before I had work at the park on Friday. That was a really cool experience. And there's been a few others along the way. I know I showed you John Sadak, the Cincinnati Reds TV announcer, sent me a really long, detailed analysis of my work, gave me some really good feedback and critiques, and I really, really appreciated it. And a few others, Andy Demetra from Georgia Tech. And then as a matter of fact, today, I can't remember the gentleman's name, but I had a response back I had sent back a while ago on LinkedIn to the Charlotte Hornets radio announcer. And he told me that he's not on LinkedIn much, but to shoot him a day that works for me and we can get on a call and talk, show him my stuff. So it's been really cool just getting deeper into the, like you said, the network and the industry, because that's what I want to do for the rest of my life. That's my passion. And it's been really cool getting to hear from some professionals and some guys that are really accomplished.
Outstanding. Scott, you're heading towards graduation here at Brevard College, a theater major. Tell us a little bit about that experience. A student athlete, you also are a broadcaster, but also a theater major. You've been, in all these productions and so forth here at Brevard College. Tell us a little bit about that experience, maybe how they sort of integrate with each other in, a unique way, but also tell us some of the moments you perhaps were most proud of on the theater side too.
Yeah, so I try to make sure that everything I'm a part of is I do it in a authentic way. And I try to bring so much of myself into the projects that I do. And I've learned so much from theater. I've learned so much in terms of how to talk and how to get a message across and not just saying words to say words, but again, like I said about what I try to do with commentary, it's just telling that story. So a lot of times with theater, knowing how to sound like a human and not fall into habits when I'm nervous, and kind of making sure that I have the same stage presence I have in productions. I have that same stage presence when I'm doing commentary or announcing, to make sure that people know who I am and know that this is the way I work. And some proud things I've done with the theater department is my claim to fame is the drive-in theater we did during the midst of a pandemic. It was the fall of 2020, and no theater was going on anywhere in the world, and we did a drive-through musical of Little Shop of Horrors, and I actually got the pleasure of the honor of being Seymour, which is one of the lead characters. So getting to do that in the fall, I did a show, The Dreamer Examines His Pillow, and my character was completely different to who I am. And being able to tell that story and have people afterwards say to me, man, that was a really good performance. I really didn't like you. Yeah, those are some things that are really special to me, being able to do those things and then go after finishing theater stuff, come to the booth or go to wherever you need me to go and be able to call some sports. Is just, it doesn't get much better than that.
Outstanding. And Scott, graduation right around the corner. What's next for Scott Douglas after, walking across the stage here at Brevard College?
Yeah, I have some stuff planned, but waiting on the government to give me the green light. So there's some stuff that I'm keeping a little bit to myself at the moment, just so I don't get too excited and the government trying to change my plans. But hopefully, fingers crossed, you should be seeing more of me.
Outstanding. Yeah, that's a good tease, as they say in the broadcast business there. And back to Brady Penn, one of our outstanding student broadcasters here at Brevard College. One other experience I want to let the audience know that you recently experienced, Brady, and also tell them about your work so they can check out your work on the print side of things. You've been doing work for the Clarion school newspaper and so forth. But most recently, you've become a beat writer for SI.com. That's right, SportsIllustrated.com. And you've been on the University of Tennessee beat, the Volunteers over in Knoxville. And most recently, you were able to head on over there to Neyland Stadium and experience Division I, Power 5 SEC football environment as a member of the press. Tell us about it.
Yeah, so that was another one of kind of me just trying to be a go-getter. So I saw a tweet 2 months ago, I guess now, just about that was, hey, if you're interested in covering college football, hit us up. I had no idea who it was for. I just knew it was this guy, Brooks Austin, on Twitter, who covers University of Georgia. And so actually Eli Carr sent it to me. And so I went and checked it out, and he said, send me some of your work. I sent him some of the stuff that I've written over here for the Clarion. And he said, oh, if you can write newspaper, you can definitely write like blog style, And so I got started pretty quickly with that and try to be as ambitious as possible, trying to write 2 or 3 articles a day and kind of get a body of work going. And then I reached out to the AD of the school. I reached out to as many people as I could find. Like there was an application that it said it would let me know, but I didn't want to just leave it to that. So at AD, the person in charge of tickets, I hit up everybody, sent an email like, hey, I would love to get credentialed. Here's my work. Here's why I want to come. I'm a student 2.5 hours away, yada, yada. And so then 3 days before, so in case I didn't get credentialed, I bought a little $5 general admission ticket so I could at least go watch the game and try and cover it, But about 3 days before the scrimmage, I got an email back from the AD or SID, can't remember. And he said, hey, we're going to credential you for this game. Like, it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get credentialed in the fall, but you'll be in the press box, all this. So I'm ecstatic. I can't sleep for the next 2 days because I'm excited. And then we get over there to Knoxville, and Neyland Stadium is huge, and find my way up at the press box and kind of just had to take it all in for a minute. I was like, wow, this is a really cool opportunity. I get over to my seat. They've got like my name put on a seat, which like, it's nothing to the people that have been there 100 times, but that first time you're like, man, this is really cool. And I see like all this free food out and stuff. I'm like, man, this is it. And but no, I sat down, took some notes about the game, kind of took in the whole atmosphere. And then I saw on my little desk that there was a post-game press conference for the media after. So I, about the fourth quarter, decided to walk down. Happened to meet somebody that wrote for the school publication, asked if he was headed down there. Didn't even know I had field access. Apparently I did. So we went down there, and he's just walking me to the field. And I'm like, oh, man, we're on the field now. This is crazy. I even got to see and meet Hendon Hooker, who's, for those of you who don't know, is probably about to get picked in the first round of the NFL draft on Thursday night. Got to actually speak to him, which was cool. And then I headed to the press conference, asked like how it goes. Is it the same as you see on TV? Like you just raise your hand, ask a question. And they said, yeah. And it was funny. The guy next to me, he was like, what did he say? He said, if you're nervous, you don't have to ask questions. Like you don't feel obligated. And I was like, oh, don't worry. I'm going to ask some questions. I had them ready to go. And I got to ask Josh Heupel a question. I got to ask 5-star quarterback Nico Iamaleava a question. And I got to ask defensive back Wesley Walker a question. Got it all on video. Was able to write about it. And it was super cool, just the experience, making connections, being in a media setting at a big game, like you said, like whether even if it's a spring game, it's SEC football. There were 59,000 people there. And it was just a really cool experience. And one of those things that, like I said, I kind of had to go after to get. And I just want to offer one piece of advice to anybody interested in that sort of thing, whether it's broadcasting or sports writing. Don't sit there and wait for that right moment or wait for that opportunity to happen. You kind of have to make it happen, and you kind of have to force your foot in the door sometimes. And That's what I would say. But all in all, it was super cool experience, and looking forward to hopefully getting able to do things like that more often.
Outstanding. Well, I encourage folks to check out Brady. Follow him on Twitter. Check out his work as University of Tennessee beat writer on that football beat. And he'll be doing this, throughout the off season, and also heading into next fall as well on SI.com. And one last plug for you, Brady. Tomorrow you're hitting the road with the baseball team at Bob Jones, another audio only broadcast. Tell the viewers a little bit about this.
Yes, sir. Yeah. So a few weeks ago, like I said, we had that radio broadcast that we kind of had to do, but it ended up feeling, I think we all in the booth felt the general sense like that was one of our better broadcasts we've had, especially since I think I've started doing it. That felt like one of the smoother, like it just felt like old school, good baseball call. And it was super cool. So we said, hey, it'd be really cool to travel with the team. I know me and you had talked about it last year. And so we got the idea going. We kind of looked at possible road games, and then we saw Bob Jones, which is only about an hour away, hour and a half. And so, yeah, tomorrow I'll be riding up with the baseball team solo to go cover the game. It'll be a fun experience getting to do that radio broadcast again, and I encourage everybody to check it out. Unfortunately, my partner Eli Carr will not be with me there. He was supposed to be, but some scheduling conflicts happened. But no, really excited to get the call for the guys. Only got a few more games. I think we got 3 more this weekend at home for sure. Not sure if we'll have any home playoff games or not yet, but got to take in these last few games, and excited to kind of bring a new approach in the first road broadcast I think we've done at least in a while.
Yeah, that's right. YouTube channel tomorrow, 6 p.m. Brevard at Bob Jones baseball, Brady Penn on the audio only call, old school baseball. In a lot of ways that the way baseball broadcasting was meant to be. I also want to give a shout out to Scott Douglas, an opportunity coming soon that you'll have a chance to see Scott behind the scenes, the mic'd up production. Great work by Melody Ferguson, another student athlete on the tennis side of things, but she's been getting into, the sports media realm head first as well. And she's been doing these mic'd up segments that you can find on our YouTube channel if you look through the archives. But recently she mic'd you up, Scott, and you were doing the PA announcing for a lacrosse game. 2 things. One, tell us about that mic'd up experience, but also tell us about the PA announcing experience and perhaps how that's different than play-by-play and, some of the things you've enjoyed with that.
Yeah, so the mic'd up experience was definitely an experience. I think I'm excited to see how Melody has stitched it together. I definitely make some mistakes, and a lot of mistakes are made in the press box when it comes to name pronunciations, and then also reading off a bunch of different stuff, different papers, find out who scored. So I'm very excited to see what that looks like, and I'm excited for everybody else to see it too, because it's a little bit more of me just being a human in the press box. And PAing, I find it a lot of fun. The best payoff I get is when people tell me how they like how I say certain names, like Emily Denega or Parker Moore. Like they like how I announce those names. So it's very cool kind of getting that payoff.
Yeah, and no doubt, it certainly adds an element of excitement for the fans in the house, for the student athletes themselves on the playing field, and great job with that as well, as far as spreading your wings in some of these other areas on the PA announcing side as well. Brady Penn, Scott Douglas, 2 of the student broadcasters here on behalf of all of us at Brevard College Tornado Athletics. Great work, guys, all season long. Brady, I know you're not done yet. You got a few more baseball games to go here, but we'll be listening at Bob Jones tomorrow. And Scott, just outstanding job. Congratulations on the award at the BESPYs, the Chuck Dunbar Award, and best of luck in all your endeavors, once you graduate. But it's been great having this run with each of you this year, and can't wait to see what's next. And thanks for joining the program tonight as well.
Absolutely. Thanks, Phil.
Thanks for having us.
All right, there they go, Scott Douglas and Brady Penn. And thank you, NATO Nation, for joining us for another edition of Tornado Talk. A couple big events this week. Make sure you head on out to the McCoy Tennis Complex or check us out on YouTube when the Tornadoes women's tennis team hosts Pfeiffer for the first round of the USA South Conference tournament. That's tomorrow. And then Thursday and Friday, the USA South Conference Track and Field Championships here at the Frank Patton Track on the campus of Brevard College. Special thanks to our producer, Joseph Marvin, and thank you, NATO Nation, for tuning in to another edition of Tornado Talk. Go Tornado!